Let me be completely honest with you, it's already December, and this is not the Star Wars movie that I want to talk about. Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Welcome back to my Star Wars Marathon, and yes, we've arrived at the very worst of all of them. Spoiler warning to all of you, this review will contain spoilers. You have been warned. Now, Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones takes place 10 years after The Phantom Menace, which is weird because all of our characters are now completely different people. So that movie even acknowledges the fact that Phantom Menace was bullshit and unnecessary. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, so what is this movie about? The Republic is pretty much falling apart. We have that entire separatist movement, and this mysterious bounty hunter called Jango Fett is paid to assassinate Padme Amidala. And this is already a problem I have with the film, because Jango Fett, supposedly the greatest bounty hunter of all time, how does he go about killing Padme? Well, either he pays someone else to do the job, or he uses a machine that poops worms into her bedroom. Does that sound as stupid to you as me describing it? Because yeah, it really fucking is. Why not use a grenade? Why not use a rocket launcher? Why not just shoot her in the head? No, because else we wouldn't have had a very forced story. Because this story is absolutely forced. Anyway, so this is the point where Obi Wan, once again played by Ewan McGregor, is like, okay, I'm gonna investigate all of this. And Anakin, who is now played by Hayden Christensen, is assigned to be Padme's bodyguard. So they go to Naboo, back to her home planet. And this is where the movie really slows down, because essentially this movie is supposed to be a romance, but it's the most forced shit ever. First of all, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. Oh my god. How did they make Anakin Skywalker, who was already a piece of shit character in the first one, even worse? Hayden Christensen rapes Darth Vader to death, because that is not Darth Vader. He's not menacing. He doesn't seem like a badass Jedi, no. He is either a complete creeper, because yeah, I haven't forgotten about that scene. I'm sorry, milady. Or a complete brat. Master Obi-Wan never lets me do anything. Master Obi-Wan would disagree. I don't like sand. Sand is so sandy. Unlike you, Padme, because you're not sandy, because you're Padme. Their entire love thing is burdened by the fact that Anakin is not allowed to love, because apparently a Jedi is not supposed to love, feel, or even have possession. That's right, Jedi Knights are now officially Jedi monks. They really made the shit up as they just went along. Again, the dialogue in this movie, horrendous, horrible. And by the way, you know when Obi-Wan, back in the very first Star Wars, when he was played by Alec Guinness, said, he was a great friend. Well, no, he wasn't a great friend. He was a piece of shit. That's what he was, because he's constantly breaking Obi-Wan's balls. Anyway, so while he's guarding Padme, he starts to realize that he's in love with her. But the way he goes about this is the most unbelievable way ever. He's like, I'm haunted by the kiss that you gave me. It's just bad writing. And I have nothing against romances. I mean, the original trilogy had a great romance between Han and Leia, and they actually went through some shit. They actually had engaging dialogue, and I was rooting for their romance. In this case, I'm like, I'm not buying that. You are both very attractive, and this is why the script says you're supposed to be together. That's it. And even Natalie Portman, who is an amazing actress, is burdened by this horrible dialogue. And by the way, every new scene with her, her outfit is more revealing and revealing and revealing until it gets to a point where she looks like a dominatrix. Seriously. So while that all happens, Obi-Wan is like, ooh, there was this mysterious Cypher Diaz who ordered a clone army for the Republic. Yoda, do you know anything about that? And Yoda, just like in the last one, he doesn't do shit about it. He's like, not a fuck given by me. But I have to admit, Yoda is much more likable in this movie, so this is a minor improvement. He's now completely CGI, and him and Mace Windu, they're like, okay, Obi-Wan, well, figure it out for yourself. So Obi-Wan goes to this planet called Camino, and Yeah, the entire segment there, it is a CGI overload. Seriously, the entire movie was filmed in front of a green screen, and it totally shows. This movie did not age well by any means. Yeah, there's this bounty hunter, Jango Fett. He is actually the prototype for all the clones, and he demanded one clone for himself to raise as his son, and that is Boba Fett. Yes, they have another horrible child actor to portray one of our all-time favorite villains. And I'm not gonna waste time to talk about him, because you wanna hear my thoughts on young Boba Fett? There you go. So Obi-Wan steps into the trap of Count Dooku, who used to be Yoda's student. Now he's an evil Sith Lord called Lord Tyrannus, and he's like, join me, Obi-Wan, join me. And I'm like, so what about that whole Cypher Diaz thing? Yeah, we really don't give a shit about that. It's over, okay. Anakin's mom, by the way, gets killed. He has visions of that, goes back to his home planet Y, so we can add C-3PO and R2-D2 into the story, which is really forced. A lot of slapstick nonsense. And again, I like these two characters. They're good in the original, but this time their entire side plot is just forced and stupid slapstick. So Anakin and Padme want to save Obi-Wan. They encounter Obi-Wan at the planet of Geonosis, where the Separatists and all their battle droids already have set up their camp. And this leads to the arena scene. And the first half of the arena scene has probably the most annoying noise in the entire Star Wars saga. That fucking spider thing. Oh my god, it's so annoying. It's like... I was so glad when that fucking thing died. So yeah, this leads to the Jedi finally stepping in and doing something. I was like, oh, it was about time. It's cool to see all those Jedi Knights in one place throwing down. But it's not like they're throwing down with other Force-sensitive people. It's just like, okay, it's fun for the 5 minutes of the movie. Which leads to the actual attack of the clones, because Chancellor Palpatine, who we all know is going to be Emperor Palpatine, has now full authority. Why? Because Jar Jar Binks gave him power. Yes, Jar Jar Binks is actually responsible for the Empire. It's that stupid, but luckily he only has like 3 lines in the film. So there's a full-out war, and while it's cool to look at, you're like, okay, there's one expendable army of clones that we don't give a shit about against one expendable army of droids that we don't give a shit about. While it's cool to look at, it's like, meh. Padme gets attacked by this one creature, which only exposes her belly to the audience, so you're like, oh, she's so sexy. And Anakin and Obi-Wan finally approach Count Dooku, and they're like, oh, we're taking him down. And this is the worst lightsaber fight of all time. I was like, why? The one good thing about Phantom Menace was the lightsaber duel against Darth Maul. And you even took this one thing from us. That was the only improvement. And now you even removed that because it's so weird. You have that one scene where Anakin and Dooku fight in the dark. It's like zoom, 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 zoom. Just close up. Can't tell what's happening. It's supposed to be stylistically awesome. It's not. Anakin loses his hand. Yoda steps in. And this is the point that I hate. I hate seeing Yoda throwing down with a lightsaber. Because Yoda is this veteran in the Force. He is the epitome of Jedi Force. In my opinion, he's only supposed to use the Force when fighting. But no, apparently he throws away his cane and he's like, okay, let's do this. And the way he jumps around, seriously, that's what it looks like. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. Yeah, it looks silly. It's supposed to be badass. It just looks silly. Count Dooku escapes. Yoda realizes, the shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun. The Clone War has. And that's our movie. It's done. Anakin secretly marries Padme in another very forced way. And that's the end of the movie. To be honest, this is my least favorite Star Wars movie. Some people say Phantom Menace. No, this one is even worse. At no point did I feel like Anakin was turning into Vader. No, he was turning into a little brat. And the title, Attack of the clones never really attack except for this one scene, so why call that movie that? Doesn't make sense either. The acting is abysmal, the dialogue is horrendous, the CGI is way too overused. But there are minor things that I do like. I like part of the arena sequence. I like the fact that we see the Jedi collaborating. And I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. But it doesn't mean that the rest of the movie is redeeming whatsoever. Which is why Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, is a time stealer. So what are your thoughts? Episode 2, do you like it more than Episode 1? Do you hate it more? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.